Hello everyone, welcome. This is Achin Singh from Walson Education. If you're new here, we are a college consulting and essay editing service specializing in undergraduate admissions in the United States, Canada, UK, and a number of other countries as well. Our mentors include you students and alumni from universities like University of Toronto, Columbia, Harvard, UCLA, Oxbridge, and a number of other places as well. If you need any help with your own college application, if you want to set up a free initial consultation with one of our mentors, drop an email at walsoneducation@gmail.com. I am linking it down below. And let's talk about your own application process, your journey, and what we can do to help you achieve your own college dream. With that out of the way, we are speaking today with Hans Bala, a student of computer science at Brown University, and someone whom I hope will be able to shed a great deal of light upon a process that is generally shrouded by opacity. So, with that out of the way, let's speak with Hans. Hi, Hans. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Yeah, Chet, it's great being here. Yeah.
So, Hans, do you want to start off with perhaps a short introduction about yourself? You know, who you are, where you're from, what you're doing for college?
Yeah, so I'm a student at Brown University. I'm a rising junior. I'm concentrating in computer science and thinking about maybe concentrating in philosophy too. But that's something that will change so far. But yeah, that's basically it. And, I was a high schooler at La Martiniere. So that's good to have.
So, you applied as an international student and you
Yep.
got into an IB. That's something a lot of people want to do, but not very easy to accomplish. So I would like you to run us through some of the statistics that got you into the place.
Well, like from the very beginning, I had sort of a clear-cut idea that I was getting into computer science. And, I did some research with like other Ivy League schools and other schools that were good for computer science. And I sort of determined that I didn't really want to study um, courses which didn't relate to computer science in any way. Like a lot of schools have what we call a core curriculum, and that entails like taking courses, whether it be in physics, chemistry, English for that matter. And I determined that Brown was a good choice for me because I could study only computer science courses, and Brown has this thing where you have to take only two courses which are writing designated, and you can take those writing designated courses in a subject like computer science. So it worked very well for me in that sense. So that's where I settled on Brown as like my primary choice. And I pretty much did early decision on Brown, and that sort of saved me the effort of applying to like 20 or 25 odd schools that people do apply to. So that sort of gave me an edge, and it eased a lot of pressure off my mind. And as far as like the SAT scores and stuff, I was not exceptional. I think I scored like 1520 on the SAT and 1600. And like I took like 3 or 4 like advanced placement exams, and I was just like a average to good student in like the school examinations. I wasn't like a genius or anything, but I think what helped me was definitely my ability to express myself through my essays, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
And what about extracurriculars?
Well, extracurriculars, I sort of, I did this. I wouldn't recommend everyone to do what I did. Is that in 11th and 12th grade, I sort of slacked on my extracurriculars because I was seeing the past track record of people who did make it to Ivy Leagues. And I sort of determined that, those who did make it to Ivy Leagues didn't have exceptional extracurriculars, barring only a few. So I determined that the primary, like I just applied my own logic and determined that the primary factor for someone getting into an Ivy League was not necessarily extracurriculars, but a culmination of how you express yourself in your application and how well that goes with your extracurriculars. Like I wouldn't pursue extracurriculars just for the sake of pursuing it. But that being said, like through sixth to about 10th grade, I would say I was part of maybe the debate team and the swimming team, but nothing on a national level, just on the school level. And Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think in one of my essays, I did write about not pursuing my extracurriculars and giving my reasons why. So maybe if people are considering that, it's a good option to outline.
And did you apply only to the US or were you also considering other countries?
I did consider the United Kingdom, and like I did apply to, I believe it was Oxford and three other universities, because I
Right.
think you can't apply to Oxford and Cambridge
Yes.
both at the same time. I did get an interview at Oxford, but after that I did not. I wasn't selected further, so that was the end of it. I did get into the other three or four schools. I forget what the limit is, but that wasn't something that I would pick over having Brown in my arsenal.
And so you got into your dream school, you sent your AD there, you got in there. What do you think, apart from your academics and the SAT scores you spoke about, were the factors that may have tipped the scales in your favor? Maybe some extraordinary essay, maybe a glowing recommendation, maybe a unique involvement. Tell me about that.
Um, yeah, that's a tricky question, but like judging my application as a whole, I think something that is very important is to have an overall theme for your application. A
Okay.
lot of people will like go into a non-profit for like some just checking a box on an application, or
Right.
like do this extracurricular thinking is going to look good. But what's really, really important, and I believe a lot of people miss out on this bigger picture, is to have this sort of theme for your college application, and it's been a while for me since I've done it, so I don't really
Of course.
remember all the details. It was what, like 2-3 years back, but like I think like my theme was basically this kid from India who's really into computer science and has a passion for it, and everything else is just supplemental to that. It should just help in building your application, but not necessarily defining it. You should have one theme and stick to that. And I think I did that fairly well, because I didn't have to go to other schools, and thankfully Brown took me, so I saved that amount of effort. And I think a very, very important aspect of your application is, of course, your essays. And essays, I think, are just an integral part of anyone's application, because they're how you convey a message to the admissions
Right.
officers. Um, and having something that, it's easy to sort of let on this word, like let an essay define you, but that's pretty much it. It's really important to get your point across in the essay and what you actually want to do going to that school. Yep.
And how important do you think subject test scores, SAT, APs, and academics in general are to the whole picture of admissions?
Um, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but I think
Right.
these subject tests and like SAT scores are just meant as a sieve to filter through students that are capable of being there, because um, it's a prerequisite for you to be academically wise and smart, for you to be at an Ivy League college or any great college. It's once you get through that stage, I think it's like your whole theme of your application, your essay, and sort of so on and so forth that get you. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some people who score like 800s and like 5 subject tests, and like 1600s and like 5 5s, but I'm not that kind of person, so I'm just speaking from my perspective.
And did you seek
Yeah.
out the help of a counselor?
Not really, because my family is pretty well. I'm glad to be born in a family which will sort of guided me through this whole application process. And
Right.
like the major reason I believe that people do go to a counselor is because they want help with like an essay, or that's what I believe. And so these counselors sort of help you write an essay.
Right.
But in my opinion, like no counselor is going to be able to tell you what essay is suitable for you. And I figured that, once you find what you want to write for, if it's just proofreading an essay, anyone can do that. Like if you give that to 3 of your friends or your language teachers in school, I think you'll be set. And education abroad is quite an expense, so whatever you can
Yeah.
save up for that helps.
So talking on the point of expenses, what about any scholarship or financial aid info? Did you apply for financial aid? Did you get any?
Well, yeah, I was in sort of two minds for this.
Okay.
My family can, thankfully, by the grace of God, afford an education abroad. And so we sort of took a collective decision that, because Brown is need blind only for US citizens. And
Right.
so if I did apply for financial aid, that might have potentially put me in a pool which would be much more competitive. So we took a decision as a family that it would be better not to apply for financial aid right now, and just sort of pay through it and hopefully give yourself a better chance.
So that makes sense to you. And what about someone who wants to apply to, a university like that, who might just need financial aid to guide him or her through? What would be your advice to them, regarding should you aim lower so that you can get in? Should you maybe perhaps use any other means to generate your financial resources? How should you approach this entire scenario?
Mm. So I think when I did my research, it appeared that it would be better to apply for financial aid in the form of a scholarship from a third party company, because if you do
Okay.
end up doing that, in the university's eyes, you're paying um, like a full fee amount, like they are getting all their money. But if that is not possible, and I completely understand that most people are not going to be able to secure a scholarship like that, you should apply for financial aid, because in the school of your choice, I wouldn't suggest you aim lower, because then you're going to feel like, oh, what if I had applied to that school and with financial aid, and you're going to sort of end up
Right,
in that
right.
loop.
Okay.
So it's my firm suggestion that you stick to your set number of schools, and hopefully out of that something works out. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So we're in what, early August right now. The application process is just picking up. November deadlines, January deadlines. In the midst
Right,
of
right.
all of the uncertainty that COVID and everything is bringing, how would you advise an applicant to approach their own application process when they're just starting out right
Hmm. I would approach it just like it's any other year,
now? Okay.
because of the simple fact that the coronavirus pandemic is only going to help your chances of getting into a school, given the number of people that are thinking about taking a gap year or coming back next year or reapplying next year. So, like, stick to your goal and keep the end goal in mind. Just fill out your application, keep your scores good, and keep your theme right, and you should hit something, because I don't think it's going to have an adverse effect on your application.
Okay.
And even if you do decide that, oh, like, if I do get into this school and then eventually I'm going to take a gap year, it's fine. Like, most schools will be accommodating.
Are you taking a semester or a year off from Brown?
Well, I'm a computer science student, and so I figured that a lot of my work is anyways done on the computer, sitting in my dorm room.
Right.
So yeah, I decided not to take a gap year, and I also judged the situation because a lot of the tech companies that will be hiring this fall for the next coming summer have said that they would retain their level of employment as they did in the previous years.
Right.
So it didn't make any sense for me. Yeah, I would be missing out on some of my friends being on campus, but a year is quite a long time, and I figured it's better to
And what are
stick
your
to it.
plans as you approach the end of, your life in college, and what do you think you'll be doing going ahead?
Well, definitely something in software engineering.
Right.
It's my passion. It always has been. So either I work in a startup or perhaps a major tech company. It's yet to be seen, but at least something in this field, yeah, for the foreseeable future.
So thank you, Hans. That was extraordinary insight. It was a delight to speak to you. Uh,
Yeah, that's great. My pleasure
Hopefully,
being
our
here.
viewers can get some positive value out of it. Thank you for doing this.
Definitely.
Maybe we can collaborate on something again soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so very much for watching, everyone. Do like, share and subscribe my channel in this video if you found that it had any value for you. A big shout out to Hans for doing this. Big thanks to him. And remember, if you need any help with your application, if you want to set up a free consultation, if you want to talk to one of our mentors, drop an email at walsoneducation@gmail.com. It is linked down below. Thank you. Goodbye.